Hello, welcome to Salisbury Cathedral and to the reflection for today, Monday the 21st of June. I'm Robert Sickley, the Cathedral's Canon Treasurer, and it's good to be with you again. We have won an award. Salisbury Cathedral is delighted to have been awarded by Arocha, the Christian environmental charity, the Eco Church Gold Award. And here is the plaque to prove it, made rather beautifully from recycled church pews at a place in the Grassmarket project in the city of Edinburgh. So we're very proud to have this, and it's been quite a lot of work. We had to put together a dossier. You can see it here. There's quite a lot of it to show what we've been doing and indeed what we're hoping to do, so that we can be better, so that we get better at celebrating God's creation and caring for God's creation, trying to be less and less part of the problem and a little bit more part of the solution to the many things that are besetting the natural world of which we are a part. Now, for this top award, the Gold Award, what we said wasn't simply taken on trust. Quite properly, two people from Arocha, Sarah and Helen, came and spent really most of the day with us last Wednesday for an inspection. And I think it's fair to say we were quite nervous ahead of this. However well you think you've prepared, it's actually rather healthy to feel nervous if you're about to be inspected. And we did, in a very proper sense, come under judgment. And the examination was thorough. We were asked some fascinating and searching questions, but it was fair, it was kind, and of course it had an outcome that we were very pleased about, which is not to say that there aren't things that we can do that we're not yet doing, and it's not to say that there aren't things that we can and should do better in the future. So it's judgment that I want to talk about this afternoon, if it is this afternoon when you're watching this. The Christian church has a certain reputation when it comes to judgment. Just a few minutes' walk from where I'm sitting now, you will find the neighbouring church of St Thomas, Salisbury. Now, Salisbury Cathedral is a wonderful, wonderful place in which to say your prayers and a wonderful place to visit. But one aspect of the building that our friends at St Thomas's have that does make me envious is their doom painting. It's one of the very few survivals of the Middle Ages, a vivid picture high above the central arch of the church of Judgment Day. And there at its centre is Jesus calling all of humanity before him and pronouncing judgment. Some are invited up to heaven with his right hand, others are sent to hell with his left hand, and there's the great gaping jaws of a sea monster as a symbol of that other place. Now, a huge amount has been done that is very bad and very harmful in the name of the judgment of God. It proved a pretty effective way of making people so scared that they would behave themselves. And the prospects aren't quite so good for doing that these days, I am very glad to say. And the imagery of the Bible, some of which really is very, very disturbing about God's judgment, has at its heart, I think, that it's vivid imagery and powerful, uncomfortably powerful language to get across to us the importance of truth. The essence of the judgment of God is not reward or punishment. It's about being finally confronted by truth. Now, I will do quite a lot to avoid confronting certain kinds of truth. whether it's avoiding the room upstairs that has the scales in it, whether it's making an appointment to go to the dentist, or opening an envelope which looks as though it may have uncomfortable contents, a bill or something similar. But there is something magnetic about truth. It's one of the cliches of cop dramas that a suspect, in fact the person what done it, will evade and lie and do all they can to escape the moment of judgment. But when the detectives finally corner him or her and confront the person with the truth of what they've done, it's not uncommon for the person to say, well, this is actually a bit of relief finally to have been found out. Much more seriously, in the real world, if, for instance, you are not well, you may pretend that you're not well, but you know you are. You may postpone the visit to the doctor because you're worried about what the doctor might say. And then in the end, when the diagnosis comes, even if it's a tough one, you may say, actually, this is horrible, but at least I know. And there is, as I say, something magnetic and compelling about knowing how things really are, because then you can begin to set your course once you've got a true bearing on the compass of your mind and heart. It's good then to dwell in truth, even if the truth is uncomfortable. There is a prayer with which we begin many services in the Church of England. It's called the Collect for Purity, and it says to God, you are the one to whom all hearts are open, all desires known, and from whom no secrets are hidden. Now, in human terms, that is terrifying. It's one of the things that worries us about the surveillance state, or I should say really now rather more the surveillance economy, that there will be people in the world who, because of the algorithms and so on, know exactly what I buy, what I watch, where I go, and therefore begin to get a good idea of what I think. That is frightening, and we should be very vigilant about it. If it's applied to God, you might say, well, that is more terrifying still. God is more thorough in knowledge and analysis than even any algorithm could be. There's a moment in the New Testament that may suggest the same. St. Paul is writing to the church in Corinth in Greece, one of two letters of his that we have written to that church. And in chapter 13 of that letter, he says, for now we see in a mirror dimly, but then, when he comes to the end of things, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part. Then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. Again, what seems to be that terrifying prospect of having your heart and your soul turned inside out, so that every ounce of content is there to be seen. But that comes at very close to the climax of a passage of St. Paul, which is actually a hymn to the love of God, or I should say the love of God rather than the wrath of God. There is something about judgment and about truth that in the end is about the love of the one who made us and who longs for us to be most fully the people whom we were created to be. The truth may be uncomfortable, it often is, but one of the names we give to Jesus, indeed he claims it for himself in John's Gospel when he says the way, the truth and the life. We may be scared of the truth, but the one whom we call truth is loving and kind. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good and truthful time until we meet again, as I pray you will, if God is with you, as God will be, as the God of truth and love is with me too. Goodbye.